Dear students, myself Dr. Premchand Vasist, Professor and Head IT Department, GL Bajaj Institute of Technology and Management, Greater Noida. Today we will cover Unit 5, Part 1 in this lecture. This unit has been divided into two parts. One is disk scheduling and second is file system. So let us start with disk scheduling concept first. Students, till now we have studied about job scheduling, CPU scheduling, etc. Similarly, in this unit, we will study disk scheduling. This scheduling is done by operating system to schedule IO request arriving for the disk. Here we will study disk structure before learning different disk scheduling algorithms. The structure of the disk can be explained under following points. Here you have to just see all the bold letters shown here in this slide. The platter, the read-write head, the tracks, sectors, cylinders. So one by one I will explain what are these terms, and please remember these words because these are the important words which we will use in the future. And in the next slide we will show you a structure, a diagram of a disk into which complete structure will be shown. So first of all, you please learn all these words. What are these words? A platter has a flat circular shape like CD. Then second term is this is magnetic material. It is having two surface of a platter are covered with magnetic material. Third one is a read-write head, which flies just above the each surface of every platter. Means we are having a read and a similar time write head. Both of these read and write head use the function as the name shows. Read head reads and write head writes onto this magnetic material surface, which is called as platter. Further, in the fourth part, the surface of platter is logically divided into circular tracks, and which are subdivided into sectors. Now the fifth point is this complete set of tracks that are one arm position make up a cylinder. Means if we will see in the next slide on the figure, we will have the cylinder. Cylinder means some cylindrical centric arrangements of the tracks so that we can have thousands of concentric cylinders in a single disk drive. So in the next point, it is again for the cylinder. There may be thousands of concentric cylinders in that disk drive, and each track may contain hundreds of the sectors. So this is the diagram about which we were just talking in the last slide. This is the complete structure of the disk. You can see here in this diagram. We are having moving head disk mechanism over shown in this diagram. The very first you can see the disk like platter, CD-like disk, which is called as the platter. It consists of tracks, and these tracks consist of the sector. You can see track T, sector S, and in the third position you can see the cylinder C, and in the last you can see the platter. This complete spindle will rotate. All the arrangement is being binded with the spindle. Spindle rotates, and along with the spindle, the complete disc, complete platters. And when the platters will move, the track and the same time the cylinder will move. Here in the right side, right direction, we are having arm assembly that is called the read-write mechanism, or we can simply say it consists of a read head and write head. That is called as read-write head. This head moves on the complete platter, or you can say all the disk all together. It can read every disk separately. So this complete arrangement of the disk is called as moving disk mechanism or disk structure. In continuation to our last slide, into which we have learned about some terms used in the disk structure like platter, sector, cylinder, track. We are having some other terms which are being used in the structure of a disk, or simply we can say the terms which are being used in the scheduling of a disk. Here the next term is disk speed. The disk speed is again divided into two parts, that is transfer rate and the positioning time. Here transfer rate, it is the rate at which data flow between drive and the computer. That is again called as transfer time. Positioning time, that is random access time. We are having two types, random access and sequential. Generally nowadays we are using random access. In the positioning time, it consists of the time to move the disk arm to the desired cylinder. That is again called as seek time. Say if we are having some at position, like our read write head is at the position 8 and we have to go at the 16th number track. So from 8 to 16 movement of that particular head is called as the seek time. And the time for the desired sector to rotate the disk head, that is called as rotational latency. Here you can see, you can just think of two type of movement. One is rotational movement, that is of the spindle. Spindle is the part, spindle is the, you can say, rod which consists of all the platters of the disk into the disk structure, and the head are used to read or write that particular track or the sector into the disk. So you have learned two terms, that is seek time and the rotational latency. Now by using these terms we can find out disk access time. That is, disk access time is equal to seek time plus rotational latency plus transfer time. The next term is disk bandwidth. Bandwidth, you are very much aware. This is the total number of byte transfer, means the capacity of some channel of transferring is called the bandwidth. Here is again the disk bandwidth, the total number of bytes transferred divided by the total number of time between the first request for service and completion of the last transfer. So here we have learned many terms about disk structure, disk schedule, disk terms, and some different rates like transfer rate, positioning time, rotational latency. So students, till now we have learned about the need of scheduling, the disk scheduling or IO request scheduling. Also we have learned about the disk structure, what a disk is, what is the structure of the disk, what are the platters, what are the sectors, what are the tracks, and what is the cylinder and a complete disk is. Same time we have learned about the transfer rate, we have learned about the seek time, latency time, and overall complete performance of the disk. And again we have also learned about the bandwidth. So now simply we can say the requirement of the disk scheduling has been discussed. Here we will discuss about the different disk scheduling algorithms used in this particular chapter or in the unit. Disk scheduling algorithms, as we are having many disk scheduling algorithms. This is the simplest one, that is we can see here, that is called as FCFS, first come first serve scheduling. These algorithms, every algorithm of the disk scheduling are being used to ease the work. Ease the work of what? Ease the work of scheduling, ease the work of requesting the IO request, or you can say attending the IO request. Input output request come to the disk, and disk provide if you are requesting the disk or the secondary disk or the you can say to the memory to write something, then you are requesting for writing. If you want some data from the system, then you will give a read request. So every time you have some requirement, either read or the write, then this is called as IO request. And as per as the requirement of IO request, we have a requirement of scheduling the disk to ease the request rate, to increase the bandwidth, to increase the performance of the system, and same time the performance of the disk response time. So for that very purpose, we are using the disk scheduling algorithm. In this line, we are having the very first is first come first serve. As the name shows, this algorithm entertains request in order their arrival. Means the request is coming and it will be served. We will not see the length of the request. We will not see the whether it is a small request or a large request. We will work on the arrival time, whether they are coming at the time t. If it's time t1, t2, t3, then the request which receives at t1 will be served first, then request t2, then t3, and so on. So in this way, we can say that we are using the simplest algorithm. But when it comes to the performance of this FCFS is not so good. Means we can say the performance is bad, because we are not just tackling, we are not thinking about the optimizing of the disk scheduling, or you can say disk request. Here, for example, to make this algorithm very simple to understand, I have taken an example. This is example. You can see here we have request sequence. Means some request is there at the sector 1. Means we required some data to read or write at the place at 176. You can say this is the address. This is the address where we have to read or write something on the disk. Say this address is 176. Next address is 79, then 34, 60, 92, 11, 41, and 140. Let us assume the read write head was at the position 50. Means simply we can say it was resting. The head was resting at a 50th position on the disk. Now, as per their arrival, you can see how it will work and how we can perform our scheduling on this particular request on the basis of first come first serve. Here you simply observe the initial requirement, initial arrivals of the request. You have observed what type of request has been come and how we have served. Simply the request is coming and we are serving that particular request. Say the head was at the 50th position and the very first request was having the address that is called 176. So our head have to move from the position 50 to the 176, and we have moved from here. You can see by the arrow from the very initial position of the 50 of the head, the position of head has been reached to 176. After that, the second request came, and to serve that particular second request, the head has been shifted or have moved from 176 to 79, and we have moved to 79. After 79, the next request came for 34. Then from 79 position to the read right head will go to the 34th position. After 34th, the request was of this again of 79. So it is going to the 79th position. And so on. We can go. We can see how the head has been moved. And in the similar manner, on the basis of their arrival, on the basis of their position. The complete calculation has been done. Say example, to make it clear, we will assume that the head was at the 50th position first of all. The first request came, so we have taken 176 minus 50, means the head will move so many number of the unit distance. Means you can say it was resting, the head was resting at the place 50, the initial position of the head was 50, and the first request came of 176. So head have to move, and the disk have to move to serve this particular request to reach at the place at 176. So this movement will be done, and how much this movement will be? This movement can be calculated by by differentiating 176 and 50. So this particular displacement, the first displacement will come. In the similar manner, we can calculate the second displacement. That is, we have reached at 176th place now, and the second request is of 79. So we will just do the calculation for this position, means the movement, how much movement we have to take. This movement can be calculated by differentiating 176 and 79. So again, by this way we can calculate, and this complete displacement movement will be of 510. So this is the complete you can say explanation of first come first serve, the simplest algorithm of disk scheduling, and next we will learn the shortest displacement for that. The second disk scheduling algorithm is SSTF, that is shortest seek time first scheduling. The basic idea is that the tracks which are closer to current disk head position should be serviced first in order to minimize the seek operations. In other words, for the clarity, this is to be observed that the place where the head is resting, or the place where the at a particular time t head resides, from that particular position which request is the nearest request. For example, if the head is resting at a place 9, and we are having two requests. One is at place of 11, and second is at the place of 15. So which number is near to the 9? So 11 number is very near to the 9. So we will not calculate on the basis of their arrival. We will calculate it on the basis of their nearest place, nearest seek time. That is it means the shortest seek time first. Which particular request is having the shortest seek time, we will just serve that particular request first. To make it clear, let us take again a second example for that particular. This is the second algorithm for shortest seek time first. The same number has been chosen. This is the request sequence. We are having 176, 79, 34, 60, 92, 11, 41, 114. At the initial position, head was again at the 50th position. The example is the same, but the algorithm is different. Here we have to serve the request on the basis of its seek time. Initially, in the first come first serve, we have served the request on the basis of their arrival. Here we are finding which particular request is having the least seek time, means which particular request is having shortest seek time. So we will serve that particular request in the first. We will give the priority to the request which is having the nearest, shortest, or least seek time. So on the basis of this phenomena, on the basis of this principle, let us solve this example again. by the uses of this SSTF algorithm. Now, to understand shortest seek time first algorithm in a detailed manner, we are taking that example, and this is the Gantt chart of that particular problem. We have divided this particular chart into 0 to 199 because the largest value is less than 199 and starting from the 0 to 199. For making it easy, we have divided into a graph-like manner. See, the head was at the 50th position first of all. Now we are having the request sequence. In the previous slide, we are having the request sequence. On the basis of that request sequence, we are observing and we have to calculate our algorithm. We have to just see our algorithm on the basis of that chart, that sequence only. Now, so this is the shortest seek time, means the request which is having the shortest seek time, the least seek time will be served first. We will see which number is very near to the 50. We are having all the numbers like 176, 179, 34, 60, 92, 11. Every number are there. We can check. We will check which one is the very near to 50. So here we are finding the number, the place, the value, where the head will reach fast. That number is 41. Means we are finding the shortest path. Shortest path means the value, the place where the head can go in the minimum time. So the number 41 is near to the head initial position. Now this movement can be calculated by doing the difference from 50 to 41. So this movement will be calculated on the basis of the displacement. Then displacement will be calculated by differentiating 50 and the 41. This is the first movement. This is the first displacement of the head from its initial position 50 to the next position, that is 41. So what is the next position of the head now? The next position of head now is 41. Now from 41 we have to find out which place is near to 41. We are finding 34th place, 34th number, 34th request is near to the place of the head, that is shortest seek time first. So we will find out this displacement as 41 minus 34. Now the next position of head is 34. Again we have to find out the nearest place, nearest value to this 34th value. So 11 is the nearest place where the head can reach fast, and in the similar manner we can find out for 60 minus 11, 79 minus 60, and then the last 176 minus 114. So this is the complete movement of head from initial position 50 to the last position 176. By this way, we can calculate the complete movement, total seek count, by calculating, by finding out in this particular displacement, and then summation, then adding all the displacements. So complete 204. In the initial, what was the number? The initial number was 510. So on the basis of comparison, on the basis of this seek count, we are finding that this shortest seek time first algorithm is better than the first come first algorithm, because in that algorithm we were having 510 displacements or the seek count, and here the seek count is only 204. So for this lecture we will cover only these two algorithms. Other remaining algorithms will be covered in the next lecture. Thank you. Thanks a lot for your patiently listening the concepts. I hope you understood the concepts given in this video. I also want to thank you, the authors of the book Principles Operating System by Schwartz Kelvin. I have taken these contents, some of the contents from the Google as well. So thank you to all those unknown authors, unknown service providers who have helped me in direct or indirect way in making this.